In the heart of Moyo, a vibrant and chaotic African city brimming with energy, lived Moyo, a woman known for her grace, wisdom, and stubborn belief in the old ways. Though she dressed simply and lived in a modest bungalow, those who knew her story spoke her name with quiet respect. Years ago, her husband, Chief Tond, had died suddenly, leaving her with a newborn son, Obina. With no support, she had hawked roasted maize on the streets, stitched torn clothes, and saved every coin. Through grit, prayer, and sleepless nights, she raised Obina into the man he was today, a self-made billionaire and founder of one of Africa's top logistics tech firms, Obi Moves. Despite his soaring success and an upscale mansion perched on Moyo Hill, Obina still visited his mother every Sunday. They shared meals in her small kitchen, laughed over cups of ginger tea, and talked about life. But Moyo had one deep worry left. "Obina," she said one Sunday, gently stirring her ogbono soup, "your company has grown, your name has spread across the continent, but this heart," she tapped his chest, "has not yet found its home." He chuckled. "Mama, I'm not rushing. When I find the right woman, I'll know." But she wasn't convinced. In a city where wealth drew suitors like flies to mangoes, Moyo feared her son might fall for beauty without substance, charm without loyalty. She'd seen men like him married into misery, trapped in golden cages with women who smiled for the public but scoffed at kindness. She had raised Obina with values, humility, honesty, and reverence for others. The woman who would stand beside him needed to match that spirit. And if she didn't, Moyo would find out. One way or another. Obina's days were often a blur of board meetings, investor calls, and tech demos. But one Friday evening, his friend Kwame dragged him out for dinner at a luxurious rooftop cafe atop Moyo's most elite hotel. That was where he first saw her, Amora. She sat alone, legs crossed elegantly, sipping hibiscus juice from a crystal flute. Her skin glowed under the soft lighting. A silk scarf danced around her neck like a fashion whisper, and her phone screen lit up occasionally with likes and comments, over 800,000 followers. Kwame, ever the extrovert, introduced them. "Obina, meet Amara. She runs Look by Mora." Her handshake was light but her gaze firm. "So you're the face behind Obi Moves," she said with a confident smile. "Your logistics app saved my boutique's deliveries last Black Friday." Obina laughed. "Then I suppose I should be charging you more." Their conversation flowed like wine, fast, sparkling, easy. She spoke of her travels, her brand partnerships, her upcoming podcast, and her plans to launch a fashion school for young girls. "I want to be a woman who gives back," she said, dabbing the corner of her lips. "But I also believe in living well. After all, we only live once." Obina was impressed. She was bold, articulate, and had ambition written all over her. They exchanged numbers and soon began spending more time together, galas, charity events, red carpet premieres. Amora knew how to turn heads, and with Obina at her side, the city buzzed with whispers of a power couple in the making. When he introduced her to Moyo over Sunday lunch, she arrived in a chauffeur-driven car, wore a champagne-collared jumpsuit, and greeted Moyo with a courteous but distracted, "Good afternoon, Mo." She spent most of the meal scrolling through her phone, barely tasting the egusi soup. After she left, Moyo simply said, That echoed louder than any warning. Something didn't sit right. She had seen women like Amora before, glitter on the outside, but what about the inside? Days turned into weeks, and Amora's presence became more permanent in Obina's life. She began choosing the restaurants they dined at, coordinated their outfits for public appearances, and subtly hinted at proposals with winks and Instagram captions like, "Wife vibes only ring kiss mark dot." To the world, they were couple goals. But behind the scenes, Moyo's doubts deepened. During visits to Obina's mansion, she noticed Amora barely acknowledged the domestic staff. She often ordered the cook to redo a dish without her please, left her heels scattered around the living room, and once snapped at the housekeeper, "Do I need to explain everything to you every time?" Obinna, too caught up in Amora's charm, brushed it off. "She's just stressed, Mama," he said when Teo brought it up gently. "Her schedule is crazy. You know how fashion is." Mama Teo only nodded. But her eyes stayed sharp, and her heart unsettled. One afternoon, as she helped the gardener trim flowers near the driveway, Amora arrived in a luxury ride, chatting loudly on her phone. "She wants me to plan a wedding in Zanzibar. Can you imagine the stress?" Amora said to whoever was on the line, pausing only to glance disapprovingly at Moyo. She didn't recognize the woman in her gardening wrapper and rubber slippers. "Ugh, this compound needs better help," she muttered before walking into the house. That was the moment. The final straw. Mama Teo turned to the gardener and said, "I need a favor. But this one will require some acting skills." That night, she prayed. Then she packed a small bag, called her cousin Mama Nene in Ajij to stay at her place for a few weeks, and told Obinna, "Son, let me come stay with you for a while. I want to know this girl properly." Obinna was hesitant. "Are you planning to interrogate her?" "No," Mama Teo said with a mischievous glint. "But I will observe her closely." She didn't say it aloud, but her heart whispered it clearly. Let the test begin. 2 days later, Mama Teo arrived at Obinna's mansion, not as the revered mother everyone knew, but as someone else entirely. She wore a faded Ankara blouse, wrapped her head in an old scarf, and carried a well-used duffel bag. No jewelry. No perfume. Just the quiet dignity of a woman on a mission. Obinna met her at the back entrance, glancing around nervously. "Mama, are you sure about this? What if she finds out?" "She won't," Mama Teo assured him, adjusting her scarf. "I've played tougher roles than this. Besides, the real question is, will she pass the test?" Obinna sighed. "I don't feel good lying to her." "It's not a lie," she said. "It's a reveal. Let's see who she is when no one's watching." And so, Mama Teo became Mama Jumo, the new live-in housemaid from the countryside. The existing staff were instructed to treat her like any other domestic worker. Only Obinna knew the truth. That evening, Amora arrived, her heels clicking across the marble tiles like punctuation marks. When introduced to Mama Jumo, she barely looked up from her phone. "Another one. Make sure she knows how to scrub marble floors. The last one left streaks." "Yes, Ma," Mama Jumo said, bowing respectfully. The next few days gave Mama Teo everything she needed. Amora spoke sweetly to Obinna when he was around but rolled her eyes the moment he left the room. She scolded Mama Jumo for placing the throw pillows too symmetrically, mocked her accent, and once hissed, "Don't touch my designer bags with those village hands." Mama Teo endured it all with quiet grace. But she took notes. Mental ones. Heart-deep ones. Meanwhile, she began noticing little things that others overlooked, like how Amora's phone never stopped buzzing with anonymous messages, how she often whispered on calls when no one else was around, and how she flinched whenever Obinna mentioned the word family. Mama Teo's suspicion deepened. But she needed more than instinct. She needed proof. And the city of Moyo was always generous to those who knew how to watch and wait. By the end of our first week as Mama Jumo, Mama Teo had memorized Amora's routine better than the house alarm system. Amora woke late, ordered smoothies without a thank you, spent hours on video calls, and only lit up when Obinna entered the room. When he wasn't around, her mask slipped. "Yusuf," she once barked at the chef. "How many times must I tell you, no gluten in my pancakes? Do you people not read labels?" Mama Teyo was sweeping the corridor that morning. She caught Yusuf's eyes and offered him a small, reassuring nod. He smiled faintly, but the tension lingered. That afternoon, Amara had guests, 2 fashion bloggers from Ghana. They laughed loudly, sipped imported rose, and gossiped about other influencers. When Mama Juma brought in snacks, Amara snapped, "Can you serve without hovering like a ghost?" Ugh. The guest chuckled awkwardly. Still, Mama Teyo stayed silent. She was here for something deeper. That night, she sat alone in the housekeeper's quarters, a modest space near the laundry room. As she folded her wrapper, she whispered, "Character isn't built in public. It's revealed in private." Then came the real twist. The next morning, a visitor arrived at the gate, a young woman named Zoe. She wore a faded yellow blouse and held a tote bag with the words, "Moyo Women's Shelter," printed across it. "I'm here to return this scarf," she said politely to the gatekeeper. "A woman dropped it at the market last week. She fainted, and I helped her get water. She left in a rush." The gatekeeper waved her in. Mama Teyo, disguised as Mama Juma, met her at the entrance. Her eyes widened. It was true, this was the girl who had helped her when she fainted from heat exhaustion near Balegan Market 2 weeks ago. No selfies. No fanfare. Just kindness. Zoe handed over the scarf. "You're okay now, Ma?" "By God's grace," Mama Teyo smiled. From the living room, Amara shouted, "Why is the gate open? Who let someone walk in?" Zoe tensed. "I was just returning." "Whatever. Tell her to leave." "This isn't a donation center," Amara snapped. Zoe looked wounded, but Mama Teyo took her hand. "Thank you for returning this, my dear. Not many people would." As Zoe left, Amara rolled her eyes. Another charity girl trying to network her way into rich circles. Mama Teyo's heart was already writing a different story. And it didn't have Amara in it. The encounter with Zoe stayed with Mama Teyo like a sweet aftertaste. That girl, humble, polite, and selfless, had done more with a small act than Amara had done in all her luxury. And she hadn't even known who Mama Teyo was. Back in her Mama Juma disguise, she made discreet inquiries through the house staff and learned that Zoe was actually a junior admin staff at Obi Moves, Obina's company. She worked quietly in the human resources department and was known for her discipline, reliability, and warmth toward others. Intrigued, Mama Teyo asked Yusuf, the chef, "Does Master ever speak to that Zoe girl at the office?" Yusuf scratched his head. "They work in different buildings, but I've heard he once called her a breath of fresh air after she organized a staff birthday drive for the janitors." Mama Teyo smiled. The city may have been full of glitz and glam, but sometimes, the brightest gems weren't in the showroom, they were tucked away in drawers. Later that week, Mama Teyo spotted an opportunity. Obina had forgotten an important file for an investor pitch. The assistant meant to bring it was unavailable. Without hesitation, the office manager sent Zoe, since she lived nearby. Zoe arrived at the mansion mid-morning, dressed simply but neatly, holding a blue file. She knocked, and again, it was Mama Juma who answered. "You again?" Zoe smiled. "You work here?" "I just help out around the house," Mama Teyo replied with a wink. "Come in." Thank you so much for watching part 1 of this tale. If you enjoyed the story and can't wait to see what happens next, comment part 2 in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a story. Like the video if you felt the emotion. Comment your favorite moment. And share it with someone who loves a good story. We've only just begun, part 2 is coming soon, and trust us, it's worth the wait.